Yes, painting skin is like painting jelly or grapes. And I know you must think that I'm crazy right now because, well, that is not the color of the skin. But the mistake that we make when we're painting skin is that we paint it like everything else, as if it was opaque. But skin isn't opaque. It is translucent, not transparent like glass or water, but translucent. Light goes through it. And once I show you how to paint translucency, well, I'm pretty sure that you're going to be a lot better at painting skin. And I mean a much better skin. And you'll also be kicking yourself for not doing this before because it is so easy, it's ridiculous. So, step 1, I have a drawing here. And yes, this character has massive elf ears, so it is easier to watch. And I have some flats on it, and I have chosen to make it backlit, so it's super obvious, and this is super easy to understand. So I made a shadow layer by creating a layer set to multiply and painting it over with a cool color. And remember, shadows are not darkness. I have a video about that from like a month ago, if you want to bring your shadows to life. But enough of that. Here's the important stuff. The key to understanding skin is to understand something called subsurface scattering. And it is a complicated name and you don't have to use it ever again, but the name does make a lot of sense. See, in translucent objects like skin, light doesn't bounce from it like an opaque object, but it also doesn't go right through it like in a transparent object like glass or water. In this particular case, sunlight bounces, but below the surface, light scatters before coming out from the other side. And if you've seen the videos about shadows that I mentioned before, you would know that light takes the color of the object that it touches. And in this case, what it touches is blood, lots of blood, because your skin is filled with it. So the light that comes into your skin will come out as red. You can see this more than anything on ears, but you can also see it happen on fingers, like with E.T. Wait, you guys haven't seen E.T.? How old are you? Oh. Well, anyway, let me show you how it works. So here's the character that I was working on. And just so you know, this is a very simple angle and effect, so I can show you the simplest example. And later, I will show you something more complex. So, step 2. Since we all know where the light will hit the character, in this case the sides and ears, we're going to create a new layer, clip it to the skin layer by pressing Alt-click, and set it to overlay. This thing that I just did in Photoshop is called a clipping mask. If you want to do it on the software that you're using, if you're not using Photoshop, you can just Google how to do it because it will be there. Now with a very soft brush, we're going to cover the part that the light hits. Keep in mind that obviously you're going to be a little bit sloppy in the beginning, but that's okay. You will get it as you practice. Also, you may not see it now in the video, but I went back and forth between all kinds of red until I found one I liked. And the one I liked was closer to a very saturated pink than pure red. Do the same. Remember that the artist process is half knowledge and half feeling things out. So next, step 3. We will create another layer, clip it, and set it to screen. Now with a soft brush, we will go through the places we believe that the skin is the thinnest. Since we are focusing on the ears, we will use this layer to paint the parts where there isn't any cartilage. Now, good job! You got the technical part down. You can then keep rendering as you please to finish the job on another layer. This video is not about this part, and I'm sure you got this down. So I just kept going until I had something that I liked and it looked like this. Now, let's get artsy. Because there will be moments where the light situation will be as obvious as it is on this drawing that I just did, and you're still painting skin. So I drew some faces with the sunlight hitting the face from different angles. As you can see, I painted the area of the ears, cheeks, and nose a bit darker and redder than the rest of the face, since skin isn't really just one color, and that area has more blood flow than the rest of the head. Another thing that you'll notice is that I have several skin tones here. And there are key differences when painting different skin tones, but I don't want you to drive you crazy with the details first. So we'll do darker tones later. Why? Because subsurface scattering is more noticeable in lighter skin tones, so we're going to start there and have fun there for a bit. Now you will see this effect more noticeable on the ears because there's no bones stopping the light from coming through. So the closer you are to the bone, the less noticeable this will be. Well, where should you be focusing on then? Well, the cheeks, clearly. And here what you will want to do is use the layer set to overlay and just softly go over the edge of the shadow. Remember to add some variation to it to make the red smaller as we get closer to the places where there's bone. Hey, but wait. What about the nose? Oh yes, I forgot that this is the Nose Obsessed channel where we can solve every problem by focusing on the nose. But what about the nose then? Well, the nostrils are nowhere closer to the bone, so they behave how the ears do. But the light that comes in comes out from inside the nostril. So in some fringe situations, there will be light coming out from the nostril as well. In most cases though, a little bit of red or pink from inside the nostril will just do the job. Can you see this? Can you? Can you notice this? I think you can. Do you know what else is a hole? Your mouth. Your mouth is a hole. And yes, light does shine through your mouth as well. But as you can tell, cheeks are thick. So you should be careful with the amount of light that you shine through it. And it's going to be a lot less than with ears. And also, I don't have a drawing for this. So let's move on. So what about the darker skin tones? Well, listen up. This is very, very important information. Our skin color is determined by the amount of melanin that we have in our skin. Melanin's job is to absorb light so it doesn't harm you. So in places where there's a lot of sun, we need a lot of melanin, so we look like this. And in places where there's long winters and not a lot of sun, we mutate it to look like this. So to make this easy, the more melanin, the less light comes through. In fact, here in this process, you can tell that I had some trouble in these areas. And for the last phase, the red overlay was just too much, so I went with a little bit of orange. Now let's take a look at what we've seen so far. Skin, shadows, overlay layer in red, screen layer in red. Focus on the parts away from the bone, nostrils and cheeks, let a lot of light through, and the darkest skin bounce less skin. So how come this video is still going on? Well, because you haven't just learned how to paint skin, you just learned how to apply this effect to anything that is translucent. Yes, jelly too. Even while I was making this video, I took a photo of my room so I could show you this. It's the same thing. And you can do this on fruits and clothes and... Wait. Did you know that hair is translucent too? Because it is! So you can do the same thing with hair just like you did it with skin. But since hair is not a smooth surface and it changes in density, it is not as easy. So you have to mix it up a bit in order to make it feel like hair. And as you can tell, I'm also still trying to figure it out myself. And if you pay attention to the world around you, you will start noticing a lot of translucent things that could benefit from this technique when you're painting them. But none of that will matter if you know how to do shadows properly. So I have a video for you that you can just watch, and it's right here.